You ever get that feeling on a Friday where your brain is already halfway through a bucket of sawdust, but your hands are still stuck in the morning emails?
Every single week, Tiger. But looking at the lineup for today's TigerDen Daily, I think we might actually give people a reason to skip the afternoon meeting and head straight for the garage.
Well, proceed with caution on that one. I once ducked out early to finish a walnut coffee table and ended up trying to explain to my wife why the kitchen smelled like a scorched forest for 3 days. Turns out, high friction sanding is a great way to meet your local firefighters.
See, this is why I'm here. To keep you from setting the digital world on fire, too. Today, we're talking 292 color 3D printing, the massive boom in trade careers, and how to make your house look like $1 million using what is basically a fancy wooden box on your ceiling.
Let's start with the tech. I grew up in a world where color meant choosing between a blue Sharpie or a red one. But there's a new filament interpolation technique out there that blew the doors off my expectations. They're getting nearly 300 distinct colors out of just 5 base spools.
It's essentially an inkjet printer, but for physical objects. But wait, how is that actually working? Is it just melting them together like a bad smoothie?
It's more precise than that. It's all about the ratio. It reminds me of the first time I tried to mix custom wood stains. I thought a splash of cherry meant half the can. I ended up with a dining table that looked like it belonged in a Dracula movie. These printers, though, they've got the math down. They blend the filaments in the hot end so perfectly that the transition is seamless.
It's impressive. But if you're trying to build something bigger than a chess piece, that tiny filament string feels like trying to fill a swimming pool with a cocktail straw.
Well, keep your shirt on because the People Giga 800 is the answer to your impatient prayers. This thing is a monster. 800 millimeter build volume. But the real kick in the teeth to the status quo is that it doesn't use filament. It eats plastic pellets.
Pellets? Like the stuff they use in bean bags?
Exactly. It's raw industrial material. It slashes your costs by about 90%. And it spits out 3 kilos of material an hour. I've had projects that took 4 days of constant clicking and whirring on a standard machine. This beast would have it done before the pizza delivery guy shows up. It's changing the game for guys trying to actually make a living off these machines.
Speaking of making a living, the data on trade careers is out, and it's looking a lot more glamorous than the old fallback plan trope we were told in high school.
I've been saying this until I'm blue in the face. The skilled worker shortage isn't just a headline, it's a massive opportunity. We're looking at almost 10% growth for electricians and over 8% for HVAC over the next decade.
It's funny, I was talking to a friend who just finished his electrical apprenticeship. He's 24, has zero student debt, and he's clearing more than most of our friends in middle management.
It shouldn't be a surprise. You can't outsource a burst pipe to a call center in another country. And the tech involved now, it's not just wrenches and hammers. These VAC systems are like Ferraris with vents. If you got a mind for logic and you don't mind getting your hands a little gray, you've got more leverage in this economy than a guy with a corner office and a fancy degree.
But it's not all rainbows, right? It's hard work.
Oh, it'll wear you out. There are days you'll come home feeling like you've been 10 rounds with a bear. My knees have a very loud opinion about every staircase I climb now. But there's a specific kind of pride in looking at a building and knowing the lights stay on because of something you did with your own 2 hands. You can't download that feeling.
Okay, let's pivot to the maker moguls for a second. If you're already in the game, maybe you're selling your builds online, the landscape for 2026 is shifting. We're moving away from the perfectly curated Instagram feed.
Thank goodness for that. I never understood the guys who spend 4 hours setting up a candid photo of a chisel. If my shop looks that clean, it means I haven't actually built anything in a month.
Right. The new trend is all about community over content. Using things like broadcast channels and collaborative posts, it's about being a real person.
That's the secret sauce. People don't just want a cutting board. They want to know the guy who stayed up until 2 a.m. agonizing over the wood grain. This weekend, I'm actually going to try one of those reply prompts in my stories. I'm going to let the internet decide which of my scrap wood piles I have to turn into a project.
That is a dangerous game, Tiger. They're going to make you build a life-sized replica of a squirrel or something.
As long as it doesn't involve me having to carve the fur, I think I'll survive.
Let's talk about the hobbyists, the weekend warriors. I saw your notes on fake wood beams. Now, normally I'd call you out for being a faux fan because you're a purist. What changed?
Look, I love solid white oak as much as the next guy, but unless you've got a structural steel frame and a crane in your living room, hanging a 400-pound beam over your dinner table is a recipe for a very expensive disaster.
And a very flat dinner.
Exactly. The trick is the three-sided box. You take some lightweight 1x6 boards, miter the corners so they look like one solid chunk of wood, and you sleeve them over a 2x4 that's screwed into the ceiling joist. It's light, it's cheap, and if you're clever with a wire brush and some dark wax, nobody, and I mean nobody, will know it didn't come out of a 200-year-old barn.
I've seen some bad ones, though. They look like, well, like someone taped a shoebox to the ceiling.
The death blow to a fake beam is a visible seam. You've got to spend the time on the joints. If you rush it, it's just a reminder of your failure every time you look up. But get it right, it changes the entire soul of a room. It adds a weight and a history that wasn't there before.
And while we're on the subject of architectural choices, we have to talk about America's pettiest houses. Did you see that spite build in the news?
The one where the guy built a house only 10 feet wide just to block his neighbor's view of the park. It's a masterclass in malicious compliance. But there's a real lesson there about zoning. I once tried to build a small garden shed without checking the city codes. 2 weeks later, a very nice man from the city told me I had to move it 3 feet to the left.
Did you?
I spent an entire Saturday with a farm jack and a lot of colorful language moving that thing inch by inch. Lesson learned. The city always wins. Read the fine print before you drive the first nail.
Speaking of design choices that actually look good, the two-tone cabinet trend. Dark on the bottom, light on top. It's everywhere.
It's a smart move. It grounds the room. Using a deep navy or a forest green on the floor cabinets hides the scuffs from your shoes and the vacuum cleaner, and the white or cream on top keeps the space from feeling like a cave. It's one of those rare trends that actually serves a functional purpose.
So, what's the big takeaway for the weekend, besides not building a spite house in my backyard?
I think it's about realizing that whether you're blending 5 filaments into 300 colors or you're just staining a box to look like an antique beam, the tools might change, but the spirit is the same. We're all just trying to leave something behind that's better than what we found.
Even if it's just a well-painted cabinet.
Especially if it's a well-painted cabinet. There's enough ugliness in the world. Don't let your kitchen be part of it.
Spoken like a man who has lived through a 1970s linoleum nightmare.
You have no idea. My first apartment had orange shag carpet in the bathroom. I still have the scars, Alex. I still have the scars.
All right, everyone, get out there and build something. Tag us in your photos, especially if you're attempting those beams. We want to see the good, the bad, and the miter joints.
Stay safe, keep your fingers clear of the blade, and we'll see you Monday.